Welcome, everyone, to the Ghostbusters Cast, Episode 4. I am your host, Matrix Lord 212, and I'm with Chris. What's up, Chris?
What's up, everybody?
All right, so I never expected this in a million years at all. It's been like almost a year since Ghostbusters has been out, 1 month shy of a year, Ghostbusters 2016. And why don't you tell the story?
Right, so I want to go out on a limb too and say that even though I was kind of down on the movie and I wasn't a big proponent of it, even I wasn't expecting this, and this is pretty weird, and I think it really kind of tells maybe what was going on behind the scenes a bit with the film. But the news basically is that Dan Aykroyd was giving an interview recently. And you can find this online. I know it's on Twitter.
There's a video of it, too.
Yeah, and he basically ripped into the director of Ghostbusters and how he's basically saying there is no sequel, that it's not going to happen.
Yeah, Paul Feig, right?
Yeah.
Now,
he said that
Ghostbusters
it was really
2016.
Yeah, he said that he basically, he didn't say it directly, but if you read it and you listen to it, it almost sounds like he's saying that it was Paul's fault that the movie didn't do well, that they spent too much on it. They said that the reshoots cost about, if I remember correctly, $30 to $40 million.
Yes.
And that they had pitched scenes to him that he just didn't do, and it looks like that this is the end of the rebooted franchise for Ghostbusters.
Well, here's the thing that really baffled me, right? I know when the movie comes out, they're not going to say what went on, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's almost a year. 11 months. Actually, it's not even 11 months yet. It's like 10 months and whatever that's been out, right?
Yeah.
And now, why come out now and say it? Like, I mean, why couldn't he say something earlier? Like, to me, they were taking pictures together. They were smiling. They were all over Twitter feed. You saw it. I mean,
yeah.
I just seen the pictures last couple of weeks ago.
He was in the movie too.
I mean, he's in the movie. He says, but he says, trust me, I worked on the movie too. It's going to be fabulous, right?
Yeah.
He said that. I mean, Dan Aykroyd. So, like, now for him to, here's the thing now, could it be possible? And again, this is hard for me, okay, because my dad met Dan Aykroyd, all right, and I am a big fan of Dan Aykroyd, and of course I love the original Ghostbusters better, but it's hard for me because I love the girls, I love that movie, and
he said that too. He said that the girls were all fantastic, so he's not blaming them at all.
So, I mean, here's the thing. I know that there was a dance number, which I really didn't think was a need for. That was like $1 million to $3 million, right? That they caught.
Really? I didn't even know that.
See, now there was a. Hey, Scott, what's up?
Just got back home, so, but yeah.
All right, we're doing a Ghostbusters cast. So,
okay.
I know that there was a dance number that was cut where he got a lot of heat. He even said it cost $1 to $3 million for everybody to dance in the street, and he had to cut. Well, he thought he had to cut it, would piss them off, and he said, "Yeah, I kind of wasted $3 million on a dance number that never happened." So knowing that, we do know that is fact, right? Dan Aykroyd coming out and saying this, I'm thinking to myself, well, could the reshoots be the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man balloon and that whole battle in the street? Because if that wasn't in there, then the movie be done. I mean, that was a cool scenes where they had the ghost ship and they used all the devices. I mean, that could be. I want to know exactly what the reshoots were that they said made a huge difference, because it would have been a worse movie or something. But I don't know what. I mean, look. This is I don't even know what to say with this, because, again, I'm not going against the original Ghostbusters for this. Like, as much as I love the new movie, I'm not going against Dan Aykroyd at all.
Mm-hmm.
But here's my take on it, right? If you're making the movie with him, right? open your mouth loud enough where stuff gets done right. Don't be like
Well, that's the
like,
thing, though. I think that maybe he did that because he said in this interview that he pitched scenes and that they didn't shoot them. I have a very funny feeling that this is just another case of Sony telling Paul, do what you want. Don't listen to them because we want the movie a certain way. I have a very, and I don't know this for sure, but I never believed that this is the movie that Dan Aykroyd wanted to make. I don't think this is the way he wanted it.
Even
I think he wanted it differently.
quiet about it, right?
Yeah, and I think the reason that, originally he said, oh, it's going to be good, I think he legitimately thought it was going to be good. But then when he started to see the fan reactions and all the political nonsense that got, involved with this film, he started saying, this isn't the way I wanted it.
Well, I got to tell you, I did, when everything was going on with the movie, I did tweet Dan Aykroyd, and I did tweet Paul Feig. Now, Paul Feig, he didn't really answer me, but he liked my tweets, different things going on of supporting the project. And I did have an extensive letter with Dan Aykroyd, what's going on with this situation. Not that he's going to answer me, because who the hell am I, really, right? Just a fan. I didn't expect a response, but I'm just wondering why the need to do it today, or yesterday, or this week. Why the need to say it now? I mean, how is that going to affect anything? Are they saying this to get people pissed, where people are like, yes, we want another Ghostbusters, original Ghostbusters, or whatever? Is it shock value? Is it a thing to the fans, being honest with the fans? I mean, why say it now?
It could be. Go ahead, Scott. Good.
I was about to say, yeah, I could understand either sometime after the movie or before it went on to DVD. I could see, or Blu-ray, him saying it. But yeah, waiting this long to.
No, but I mean, is this supposed to generate a trending topic in this day and age, where people will say, I want another Ghostbusters with Bill Murray, Dan Aykroyd, and Hudson, and then when Sony sees this, they're like, you know what, let's do it.
There's a couple of things. I don't mean to cut you off, but on your point, there's a couple of things that I think led to this, and it has to go with what Scott just said too. The reason that they waited till after the movie was out, after the DVD was out, because now it's safe to say whatever you want. It's not going to impact any of the sales.
They already got
merchandise done. Right. So you can basically say whatever you want about the movie now without hurting it.
Right.
I think there's a couple of things going on here, and I don't have any evidence of this, but just from my interpretation, I think there's a couple of things going on here that made him say it now. I think, A, like I just said, it's not hurting the movie anymore.
Correct.
B, I think maybe they just found out that Sony said no sequel.
Okay.
And I think, and this is the big one, I think that if he's saying this now for a reason, this is the biggest reason. He's saying it now because literally Wonder Woman just came out.
Yep.
Right.
People are very happy with Wonder Woman. It's getting a big response from female fans, and it's getting, a big response from everybody, males and females, right?
Yeah.
So by hitting that now, you go back to what it was last year with the people saying, oh, it's good that we have, female role models. And I think maybe he was trying to feed off of, the centrifugal force around Wonder Woman. And they say, hey, wait a minute, that Ghostbusters movie, how come we're not seeing another one of those? That's just my interpretation, because you're right. I don't see why you would say it now other than those reasons.
Well,
there's no reason to say it.
There is another point that we forgot. The Ghostbusters project that was supposed to happen in 2018, I think the animated movie, it's delayed for a year.
Is it? Okay.
So nothing is happening in 2018. They don't even know if anything's happening in 2019. It's supposed to be an animated movie and an animated series.
Yeah.
I don't think there's going to be an animated series. I think they're like, whoa, wait a minute, back up.
Yeah,
now, see, here's the thing that I'm having a problem with. I like Paul Feig also. I love his movies. I love the original Ghostbusters. I love that. I want to know flat out, because we've seen this before, where movie companies interfere in the movie,
Yeah.
right?
Yep.
Is it really Paul's fault, or is it Sony's fault? Because Sony interfered or Marvel interfered with the Spider-Man movies, put Venom in there, don't say great power, great responsibility, don't do this, don't do that. And this is what happens. People like to micromanage.
Yep.
Did they micromanage Paul into creating this movie, or did he really truly have free reign?
I think
Because-
they probably what they probably did was they brought him in with an idea of what they wanted, and what they wanted was an all-female Ghostbusters film.
Because they didn't think
That
it was going
was
to
a
work in the
reboot.
first place, so they could.
But
easily-
isn't the person at fault Amy Pascal? And I'll tell you why. She is against Marvel being with Spider-Man, right? Like she don't want Sony to sign the deal. I mean, she don't have as much power anymore, but she still kind of has some say, right? She made a big statement that Sony didn't even go against, that basically the deal may be done, Spider-Man Homecoming 2, whatever, and then Sony has Spider-Man, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is she rebelling against the original Ghostbusters, rebelling against the original, like, Marvel Spider-Man, like, cinematic, and is she trying to make Sony big, but rebelling against the creators? Like, is that what's happening? Because to me,
I don't think so.
I mean,
I
I
wouldn't
want
say so.
answers. I really want here's the thing. I don't see nothing on Paul Feig's Twitter about it. I see pictures with Dan Aykroyd last week.
Yeah.
This
He's probably
bio-
trying to play it down, so that way he doesn't catch any heat.
I just see him talking about Trump and politics. I don't see him talking about any of this.
Yeah.
So
He's
now, how
he's
did
probably
he
getting
handle
heat
this?
from the Trump thing. So he's thinking, if I say anything about Ghostbusters, then I'm going to get double.
But here's the thing: if Dan Aykroyd's saying he's fired completely from Sony, never to work again, right? Did he say that, or did Sony say that to him? Because if he's just saying it, and then Sony says something to him tomorrow, what's the real story here? Because here's another thing. Besides that, we heard conflicting reports that a lot of money had to go out to Dan Aykroyd, Bill Murray, because they have the rights for them to go forward with the movie franchise, and Bill Murray didn't want to do anymore. And you got to pay these guys to let them do a reboot. So why isn't he saying how much money he got, or Bill Murray got? Because there's a law. I know there's a legal thing. They don't want nobody to know. But if that's part of the budget too, I mean, how could you come out there and blame the director? I'm not trying to be against Dan Aykroyd, but they did get a lot of money to like allow it to happen. So if they got money to allow it to happen, yet they have a say on what's going on in the movie, something is fishy here. I don't know what it is. I don't know who to believe. And I'm not saying anybody's a liar, but like Sony comes out and says there's going to be a sequel, and then there's not a sequel. I mean, I don't know what to think of this. They didn't say anything about merchandising.
And it would be great to see as a sequel.
But they didn't say anything about merchandising. You know how Power Rangers said there's not going to be a sequel, then all of a sudden 2 weeks later they're like, well, wait a minute. Sales were through the roof merchandising-wise, so we may do a second Power Rangers movie.
Unless it's similar to the FIFA incident where guys were just coming out of the woodwork. And, oh God, we don't want to play as female soccer players. I mean, that's the only thing I can think of. It's similar to that little.
Well, I actually just found an article. I don't mean to cut you off, Scott, but
That's all right.
I actually just found an article.
So.
Yeah, from Bleeding Cool News that was posted an hour ago about this whole thing on June 5th, 2017. Yeah, and basically, it says Aykroyd. This is another thing he said. He said, "quote We wish he had just been." He talking about Paul. We wish he had just been more inclusive to the originators. It cost everyone, as it is unlikely. Kristen, Leslie, Melissa, and Kate will ever reprise their roles as Ghostbusters, which is sad. So basically, he's saying that they didn't listen, that he didn't listen, Paul didn't listen to the originators, which is them, of course, Dan Aykroyd, about what to do. So it sounds like
Scott, you have an echo. Sorry.
I
I'm gonna
don't
mute
hear
you for a
anything.
second.
I'm not
I'm
even.
gonna mute
it
you for a
sounds
second.
like
Go ahead.
yeah, it sounds like what Dan Aykroyd is saying is that they tried to pitch Paul ideas, but he didn't listen. So I'm assuming that he and Sony are probably to blame for this, because I think what Sony probably said is do the movie the way you wanted.
But that's it. He's
And
the director. He could do a movie the way he wants it.
right,
You don't see anybody
Sony,
going to Ridley Scott and say, "Hey, Ridley Scott, we wanted to tell him what to do, but he didn't listen."
But Sony is in control of this franchise. So if they go to him and they say, "We want you to make this movie, but you have to do this, this, and this in it," you know, we don't know whose idea this was to make an all-female Ghostbusters movie. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And I'm gonna throw it out there. I think that is also a problem with this movie. I think that they said, you know, oh, it's gonna be this whole female agenda thing, and then people are like, we don't want that in our Ghostbusters.
Well, the message got. Here's the thing. I was all for the female Ghostbusters movie, but then when they started to crap about the Ghostbusters vote for Hillary Clinton,
yeah, exactly.
I got pissed, and I'm like, "What are you talking about? You're fictional characters." So he got in trouble, Paul Feig, for that, and Sony said no. And then he wanted to make Holtzman gay, and they said no. They said Holtzman's not gay. We never said that. So that's just somebody saying. I mean, that's the director. So I don't know what the hell is happening here. This is a mess, and I think that this is. I don't think this is good news. I don't think this is. I don't think that this is going to make a movie for the original Ghostbusters in 5 minutes either. And again,
no.
If Sony tomorrow says that Paul Feig's doing a second Ghostbusters and Dan Aykroyd is just talking, that's going to be even another issue. Because again, I don't see Sony saying anything, and I don't see Paul saying anything. And if Sony is just doesn't know any of this, then and he's just talking, you know, then there's weird stuff going on here.
Well, you know what will happen there? If they really do come out and they say, "Oh no, we're making a sequel, Paul's the director," then what will happen is you'll have a Ghostbusters movie that's not endorsed by the original Ghostbusters.
Correct, because they will totally back out. They will totally back out, and then because you know principle of the matter. But now here's the thing: I didn't really check it too well. Did Paul do any other Sony movies?
I think he's worked for them before. I'm not entirely sure. I don't really know his.
Because that's a bold statement for Dan Aykroyd to say that he'll never be back on the Sony set.
Well, he's partially right, because if he cost them that much money, they're gonna look at him and they're gonna look at the Ghostbusters franchise and be like, yeah, no, not anymore.
Here's the thing, right? The second Ghostbusters came out in '89, right? Right?
I think so, yeah.
I think
something like that.
They never can get a third movie together. Dan Aykroyd could not get it together with them, right? All these years that nothing happened, and whatever the reasons were, they tried, right? Maybe some years he wasn't into it that much. Maybe some years he was, right? What other movies does he do for Sony?
Well, I'm looking right now.
Like what movie? And again, I'm trying to be an open-minded here, but is Dan Aykroyd doing multiple movies for Sony that he could say, you know, or Sony will back him and say, oh, he's right? Because
wait, Dan Aykroyd or
Dan
Paul?
Aykroyd? I'm talking about Dan Aykroyd.
I don't know about. Yeah, I don't know about.
You got to look at the story, and you got to look at all the angles. Okay, I'm just saying that Dan Aykroyd wants to make movies. You know, I mean, Bill Murray makes movies all the time. Dan Aykroyd doesn't make movies all the time.
Right.
So you got to think maybe he wants to stay with Sony. Maybe he wants to, you know, I'll help you make movies. But here's the thing, like, I don't know, man. This is so peculiar to me. Because I'm not going against Dan Aykroyd. And again, I'm not going against Paul Feig either. I want answers to what the hell is going on here. You know? Yeah. And I hope nobody expected me to come on here and be like, oh, the girls are terrible, because I know people would today. The reason why I'm making this cast, I knew about this news I think it was Saturday or something like that. I heard stuff about it. I didn't talk about it Saturday because we were dwelling on Doctor Who. Doctor Who, Doctor Who, Doctor Who. Sunday, I didn't talk about it. I think I sent a message to Mundane Matt about, the Ghostbusters thing, because I know while I love the Ghostbusters female movie, he hates it. And even, I'm not against him because I like his channel, by the way, but I just was wondering because between him and me, we made tons of Ghostbuster videos. While I was supportive, he was not. But it's still interesting dynamic, his point of view and mine. So I don't have anything against him. So I'm like, are you going to do a video about this? And I sent them the link. And then I saw, I think maybe it was 25 or a half hour later, he did a video on it. And again, he's, his interpretation is interesting too. Because like us, he's like, what the hell is going on here? This is crazy. I think we're gonna have to do some more casts. I think there's stuff that's gonna come out this week. I have a feeling that Paul is gonna say something eventually. Yeah. I think Sony. There was supposed to be a date in June that Sony was gonna. It was Ghostbusters Day, right?
Yeah. Oh, I don't know.
The 10th. Was it the 10th? You got an echo, Scott.
Oh, damn it. Here, let me shut my mic off here, then.
Yeah, okay. There's a Ghostbuster Day. They said this day is officially Ghostbuster Day, and I'm sorry I don't know what the day is. I think it's the 10th. But they said some type of announcement is going to be made. Now, is this because of that? Like, that he came out and said some things?
Well, I mean, this is the only thing I can say because I have no idea. We don't know.
June 8th.
June 8th. Yeah, that's in 3 days.
Yeah.
So I mean, oh well, this says from 2016. So who knows?
Well, wait a minute. It was.
But basically, what I was gonna say is, regardless of what happens, whether they decide to make a sequel or not, the franchise is in trouble. And it's in trouble because if they don't make a sequel, then, they're not going to do anything for a little while other than the animated stuff, if they do that. And if they do make a sequel, it doesn't sound like the original Ghostbusters, at least Dan Aykroyd, will endorse it. So, I mean...
Well, let me ask you a question. If there is a Ghostbusters Day and they're all taking part of it, even Paul Feig, right? How the hell is that going to be?
They won't show up, I guess. The original
who's not going to show up?
The original Ghostbusters won't be a part of it.
So they're supporting it. Now they're not supporting it.
Well, at least Dan Aykroyd's not. We don't know about the others,
I mean, Bill Murray is definitely supporting Melissa McCarthy. I'll tell you right now. And
I'm sure he is,
team.
but
I'm sure he's supporting everybody.
Here's the thing, though. It's Dan Aykroyd who's been more involved in this than the others. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but here's the thing. I mean, I know that Bill Murray had the rights to it, too. Regardless of it being a creation of Dan Aykroyd and Howard Ramis, somehow, some way, that's the way it was worked out. Mm-hmm. So you have a civil war, so to speak, possibly between Bill Murray and Dan Aykroyd, because Bill Murray does movies with Melissa McCarthy, and regardless, I don't know how they got him in a cameo, but they did. I don't think Bill Murray's opinion is the same as Dan Aykroyd's here.
Well, we don't know. The thing is, we gotta wait and see. I personally don't. I think the sequel's done. I think that as of now,
I would have to. Here's the thing. Unless people are going to lose it, I know, but unless I hear something from Sony or Paul Feig, I can't say that. I can't even make that determination because, again, we've seen plenty of times where people have spoken for a company they think, and then it's not the case at all, completely. So, I mean, look at the time Andrew Garfield was trying to convince us that Spider-Man should be gay in the movie or Miles Morales should take over, and they flipped out. So I got to tell you, I don't. This is interesting, very interesting, but I cannot say definitively that it's done because again, nobody said anything about the merchandise either. And if they made tons of money with the merchandising. And if that works out with Power Rangers, the Power Rangers is making a movie because of the merchandising. Same thing like Transformers, different things that really affects it. Because from what I understand, the amount of money they made from merchandising was incredible. So did they really lose or not? Because when you think of Sony, you think of PlayStation. When they put a system out, they lose money, but with the software, they're very profitable. So that division is not. I'm saying money-wise, with the movie company, if you tie it all in together, what's the real story here? Because they said they lost maybe $25 million.
Oh, they're saying more than that here.
Well, that's Dan Aykroyd saying, right? Or is that Sony saying?
Well, it's probably him saying it. But listen, my thing is this though. I think that if they made a sequel, it would probably be a bad idea because you're gonna have one of the biggest, one of the creators of this franchise. If he doesn't support it,
yeah,
then the fan base is gonna be like, I'm not going to see that.
I agree with you 100%. Unfortunately, as much as I would want a sequel, if this is what's going to happen back and forth, tit for tat battling, then don't do it.
Yeah.
And it's a shame. I do want to have a sequel, but whatever. All right. I know you got to watch Raw. So
yeah, I'm
enjoy.
going ahead in there now.
All right, guys. Take care. Bye for now.